At the beginning of the movie, Jum appears frightened and approaches her senior Reddy, explaining that the recording is damaged and asking for advice on what to do next. Reddy gets scared hearing this and looks towards a room and asks her if she finished the ritual, to which Jum says not everything. Reddy becomes even more concerned upon hearing this and enters the room with Jum, where a girl lies unconscious. Together, Reddy and Jum attempt to cover the girl with a wooden structure, but the girl's hand obstructs their efforts. Reddy reaches out to place her hand inside, but suddenly the unconscious girl seizes her by the throat and kills her by slamming her head on her bed. Following this, the girl shifts her attention to Jum and pounces on her, leaving Jum deeply frightened. The girl seizes Jum by the throat and undergoes a demonic transformation, demanding to know who she is. The movie now transitions to East Java in 2003, where we see Sri, who is employed at Minna's restaurant. Sri requests financial assistance from Minna, but Minna apologizes and explains that she is also facing significant expenses this month. However, Minna informs her about a job opening for a female house assistant with the Atmojo family. Sri finds it strange that they seem to be constantly searching for helpers. Following this, when Sri goes to serve water to a man, he is startled upon seeing her and promptly abandons his food, making a swift exit. Later, Sri attends an interview for the house assistant position, where there is a lengthy queue of applicants. Suddenly, it starts raining, and Sri decides to leave the place. However, as she makes her way back, she collides with a car. Lydia, who is overseeing the interview process, takes Sri inside for first aid. Sri admits that she came for the interview but does not possess a diploma. Lydia reassures her, instructing her to remove the bandage once she returns home. Only then does someone call Lydia, and she departs, instructing Sri to wait there. During this time, Sri observes a painting in which a woman is holding a child. She becomes alarmed when she notices that the child's eyes are taking on a demonic appearance. Only then does Lydia return and inform Sri that Karso, the head of the Atmojo family, wants to meet her. It's a rare opportunity, as not everyone gets to meet her, and there's a chance that she might be hired on the spot. Feeling a bit apprehensive, Sri enters Karso's room, where she inquires about her full name, to which she responds with Sri Rahayu. Karso then asks her if she was born on Kulwan Friday, as she can smell the fragrance of specific flowers inside of her. Sri tells her that she needs money for her father's medication, to which Karso says that means they both want to save their families. Karso promises to help her with her father's medication, but she needs to answer if she is ready to work for her. Sri expresses her readiness, and Karso approaches her and tells her that there's no turning back now. She uses a dagger to cut some of Sri's hair and instructs her to follow. After this, she takes her to a room and tells her that from now on she is her servant, and with this, their agreement is approved. She asks her to do her job and she will do her part. She also makes it clear that Sri cannot betray her, because she has essentially put her life in Karso's hands. Following this, Karso removes her shirt and instructs Sri to bathe her body with the water. Sri is repulsed by the injury she sees, but she summons her courage and attempts to perform her duties. Karso asks Sri to feel her lesions, promising that Sri will never have such wounds as long as she keeps her promise. Afterward, Karso blows smoke in Sri's face, causing her to become unconscious. Karso's driver Suji then takes Sri back to her home, and he relays Karso's message asking her not to tell anyone about what happened. We then see that Sri's father is not pleased with her working for the Atmojo family. Sri explains that they lost ties because they couldn't afford to pay for the treatment, and she doesn't want to lose her father due to financial difficulties. Later that night, Sri is awakened by her father's voice calling her. She rushes to his room to check on him and discovers that his health has deteriorated. When she lifts the blanket, she is terrified to find that half of his body is missing. However, as he gets up and reaches for her hands, it is revealed to be just a nightmare, and she then notices a mark on her wrist. The next day, when Suji arrives to pick her up, Sri discovers that Erna and Dini are already inside the car. She notices that Dini also bears the same markings on her wrists, and Dini remarks that this indicates Karso has done the same to her. Suji then tells Erna and Sri that Dini has worked for the Atmojo family for a while. When Sri wakes up during the journey, she asks Suji aren't they heading to Karso's house. He stops the car and instructs them not to disembark. Suji then places some offerings under a tree, cuts his hand with a knife, and offers his blood. Upon returning to the car, Erna inquires about what he was doing. Suji dismisses it as nothing and reassures them that they will reach their destination shortly. After some time, they all arrive at a house. Suji informs them that there is no electricity, so they need to light all the lanterns before it gets dark. Sri notices a calendar on the wall with numbers up to 1,000 written on it. Erna asks what's on the 13th, and Dini mentions that they will be leaving on that day. Soon, an old man comes there, and Suji informs him that he has done as instructed. The old man introduces himself as Taman, and acknowledges that they must be puzzled about why they were brought here, and tells them that the answer is in this room. Taman provides them with clothes to change into and explains that these garments will offer protection. He mentions that the clothes have been soaked in water containing 7 types of flowers and have been infused with the scents of incense, vetiver, and sandalwood. The aroma is intended to have a calming effect on her. Taman then instructs Dini to fetch water from the pump in the kitchen. As soon as she departs, Taman unlocks the door and apologizes, mentioning that the room may have an unpleasant odor. They then enter the room, and meanwhile, Dini also comes there and Taman asks her to close the door. He then tells them that in the cassette, there is a recording of Karso's voice. It contains the instructions and steps for bathing the dead, a ritual they have to do. Free asks bathe whom, to which he asks Dini to remove the cloth. As Dini uncovers the clothes, they discover something unsettling and become frightened. Taman explains that it's Dela Atmojo, the granddaughter of Karso Atmojo. She has fallen victim to potent dark magic, and an evil entity named Sangartri resides within her body. This malevolent presence is set to remain inside her for 1,000 days. And if they take no action, by the 1,000th day, Dela will be lost forever. Erna inquires whether Dela can be saved by the ritual, to which Taman responds that the ritual is meant to pacify Sangartri. He explains that the ritual must commence at the onset of dusk and be completed before the sun sets entirely. Once it's finished, they should rewind the cassette tape to its original position. Dini proceeds to play the cassette and follows the instructions carefully. She pours water into a basin and adds a pinch of each of the 7 types of flowers in the specified sequence. Before opening the beer, she ensures that Dela's hands and feet are securely tied. She then places the beer on Dela's right side. The ritual involves washing Dela from her feet to her abdomen, then her face, and finally her back, all while continuously reciting a chant. During the process, Dela suddenly awakens and bites Dini's hand, causing everyone to become extremely frightened. Dela somehow manages to free her hand from Dini's mouth, and Taman then attempts to calm Sangartri. Free and Erna run out of the room, and after some time, Taman successfully calms Dela. Free decides to leave, and Erna attempts to stop her, but Sri says she is going home as she can't work like this, and Erna ultimately follows her. However, after traveling some distance, both of them begin to feel dizzy, their noses start bleeding, and they eventually lose consciousness. Upon regaining consciousness, they find themselves back in the house. Taman explains that they've entered into an agreement with Karso, and this place has been magically enclosed, not only to restrict Dela, but also to restrict them. They only have to bathe and take care of Dela for the next 4 days until day 1000. That night, Taman and Suji depart, leaving the 3 girls alone in the house. Erna inquires about who might have cursed Dela like this. Dini explains that the Atmojo family has numerous enemies. From what she's heard, after Dela was possessed by Sangartri, she killed her family, including her parents. They managed to lock her up in a cage before she could harm Karso, but this was done before the Bathe the Dead ritual. Since she's undergone the ritual bath, both Dela and Sangartri can now be controlled. Dini encourages the others to stay calm and emphasizes that they must support each other in this situation. They are being compensated well, and they have a family to provide for. The next day, Free hears what seems to be Dela crying out for help. However, when she investigates further, she notices a shadow moving beneath the door of Dela's room. She returns to Dini and informs her about this, to which Dini advises her to ignore it, explaining that it's Sangartri, not Dela. Dini informs them that the water pump is jammed, and without water, they won't be able to bathe Dela. She then asks Erna if she can handle the bathing ritual on her own. Despite her hesitation, Erna reluctantly agrees to prepare for the ritual. In the dream during the night, Free finds herself in a pit and hears a girl's voice calling for help in the distance. She gets up and starts moving towards the voice. After wandering through a field for some time, she reaches a shack. However, she senses someone standing behind her, and as she tries to turn and look, a man starts running toward her. This sudden tension in the dream causes her to wake up, and she discovers that she is holding grass in her hands and mud in her feet. Free discusses her dream with the others during breakfast and asks Dini if there's a sugarcane field nearby. She mentions hearing someone asking for help from inside the shack in her dream, and it sounded like Dela's voice. Erna asks Dini what this could mean, and Dini suggests that Sri might have dreamt about it because she couldn't stop thinking about it. Free then shows them the grass she found in her hand and asks why it was on the bed. Dini tries to dismiss it, telling Sri that they only have to work for 2 more days. During her turn to bathe Dela in the evening, Free plays the tape, but it stops automatically. Then her attention is drawn to Dela, who asks for her name. Free tells her name, and Dela says she can hear their voices, but now she can only lie down. Free removes the clothes from the bier, and looking at Dela, mentions that her little sister also loved to sleep. Dela asks about her little sister's name and where she is now, to which Sri responds that her name is Tyas, and she is no longer here. Dela then asks her to come closer, as she wants to see the face of the person who is taking care of her. Free lifts the bier from Dela and places it on her left side. She sits in front of Dela and tells her about the dream she had last night, explaining that it felt like she was in her dream. Then suddenly the tape starts playing and Karso's instructions start playing in it, and Sri gets up to complete the ritual. As Sri goes to rewind the tape, the candles and lantern suddenly go out. She attempts to relight the candle, but we see a demon behind her. The demon extinguishes the candle once more, intensifying the eerie atmosphere. As Sri relights the candle, Dela tells her that she is scared. When Sri approaches Dela, Dela suddenly screams in a demonic voice that horrifies Sri. Sri then observes Dela's complete transformation into a demon and she attempts to attack her. However, when Dini arrives there, she discovers Dela lying on her bed. Sri tries to explain to her that the tape was playing strangely, and she was told to open the bier. Dini then asks Erna if she bathed Dela correctly, to which Erna confirms that she did, and nothing strange happened. Free continues to have the recurring dream of the sugarcane field with Dela calling for help. In the dream, she reaches the shack and sees someone behind her who tries to attack her, causing her to wake up once more. However, she finds that her hair has indeed been cut. Later, Taman and Suji return to them, and Dini tells him that something happened when he was away. Erna and Sri notice Suji carrying some stuff, to which he says there is something he needs to do. After some time, both of them see that Suji has been digging for a long time, and they feel as if he is looking for something. Free then tries to tell Taman about last night's experience with Dela, to which he says that was Sangarchara's doing, as it will do anything to be free, including tricking them. She then tells him about the weird dreams, and he gets a little surprised after hearing this. However, he suggests her to relax, as the important thing is that she is okay. The following morning, Taman and Suji return. Erna and Sri are curious about the pit's contents, so they uncover it, but get surprised to find that the pit is entirely empty. Later, Erna expresses a desire to leave if given the chance. However, Sri believes they will face a situation similar to the previous day. Erna then mentions that once they reach the city, they plan to visit a witch doctor. Free proceeds to perform the ritual, and this time, Dini stays with her to assist. However, they discover the tape playing with a gap. Free mentions that it happened the same way yesterday, so Dini rewind the tape and starts from the beginning. As Sri resumes the ritual, they notice that the bucket is leaking, and Dini suggests her getting more water. Free goes to get the water, but because the hand pump was broken, water was not coming from it. Now because time was running out, so Erna asks Dini to go help Sri and let her keep watch here. Both of them manage to get water somehow, but to their surprise, they find that Dela is not in her bed. It's only at that moment they spot her, standing in a corner, crying and banging her head against the wall. When Dini tries to approach her, the candle goes out. Dini relights the candle and discovers that Dela has vanished. They then see her sitting in another corner and, suddenly, she attacks them, causing both of them to fall. However, when Erna arrives at the scene, Dela is nowhere to be found. Erna asks them where is Dela and tries to help Sri to get up, but suddenly Dela drags her away and begins banging her face on the floor and then bites on her shoulder. Dini attempts to help Erna, but Dela pushes her away, causing her to faint. In the meantime, Free throws holy water on Dela, which causes her to collapse and become unconscious. They proceed with the ritual, and Dela mentions that they were all born on Kliwan Day and that they are all meant to be human sacrifices. Later, Erna inquires if they were all born on a Kliwan Friday and recalls Dela's statement about being human sacrifices. She starts to believe that they will be sacrificed by Taman to replace Dela's life, and that the grave at the front door is for them. Dini intervenes and asks her to stop, then explains that when Dela was still at Karso's house, she worked there with her friends Jum and Reddy. They made a mistake and didn't complete the ritual, resulting in their deaths at the hands of Dela. This experience led her to leave her husband and child. She even attempted to take her own life, but luckily, Taman intervened and rescued her. He told her that her life was valuable and offered a way to save her, with the condition that she must assist until the 1000th day. She trusted him and now asks them to believe as well. The following morning, Dini and Sri discover that the lock in Dela's room is open. All three of them enter with fear but find that everything is scattered and in disarray, and only then Dini notices that Dela has escaped from there by breaking the window. Sri recalls that Taman mentioned the area was fenced, and Dini suggests that Dela should still be nearby. Dini explains that Taman said the fence is in the shape of a corpse umbrella, and since there are 3 of them, they need to ensure that all 3 parts of the fence are still securely on the ground. As they go outside to check, Dini notices that the umbrella has fallen. She repositions the umbrella, but then someone strikes her unconscious. At the same time, 3 locates the fallen umbrella, but from behind, Dela launches an attack, attempting to strangle her. Just then, Hammond intervenes by pouring holy water on Dela to save Sri, and as he proceeds to restrain Dela's hands, Erna stabs him with a knife. Erna then attempts to free Dela, and when Sri tries to intervene, Erna attacks her as well. Erna insists on removing all the umbrellas, but Sri says that their primary task is to keep an eye on Dela. Erna discloses that she is here to release Dela and that Karso initiated all of this. She also reveals that's why she didn't perform the bathing ritual that night. Erna reveals that she tampered with the tape, created a hole in the bucket, freed Dela the previous night, uprooted an umbrella, and was the one who assaulted Dini, rendering her unconscious. She then tries to kill Sri with that knife, but Sri overpowers her and knocks her down, and when she goes to check on her, she finds a wooden stick accidentally lodged in her head, resulting in her death. They all return to the house, and this time, Karso arrives as well. Sri begins packing her belongings, and Dini acknowledges that she understands Sri's regret, but it was an act of self-defense. She requests Sri to stay for one more day, promising that she'll be able to meet her father that night. However, Sri states that Erna is no more, and she is leaving immediately. Karso then reassures Sri that it wasn't her fault and acknowledges the numerous lives lost in this chaotic situation. She mentions that she knows she had a sister who is now gone, and she was powerless back then. However, she possesses the power now and can save Dela. Hammond explains that only her blood carries the scent of specific flowers. Much like Sewu Dino, the practitioner of this black magic, Karso reveals that what Sri experienced in her sleep wasn't a dream, but was the world of Sukma, where Dela is being held captive. During these 1,000 days, Sri is the first person to make contact with her, and she is the only one who can go there to rescue Dela, and she must do it today. Sri decides to help them, and the ritual commences. Hammond instructs Dini not to interrupt the bathing the dead ritual while Sri enters the world of Sukma and to keep Sangarchari calm. He then approaches Sri and explains that she and Dela will be connected to each other. He instructs her to locate Dela and bring her to this grave. Karso then gives her a dagger and tells her that Sewu Dino will try to stop her there. She begs her to bring Dela back, as she is the only family she has left. Hammond also informs her that the world of Sukma operates differently from their world. When it's daytime in their world, it's nighttime there, and she has until just before the sun rises in Sukma. Once the day comes, the 1,000 days will conclude, and Dela won't be able to be saved any longer. In the world of Sukma, we witness Sri breaking into the shack. Dini informs Hammond that they've run out of water, and he's about to go fetch more when suddenly Dela pulls Dini into the grave. Hammond becomes very frightened after witnessing this. Dela injures Dini and then emerges from the grave to attack Hammond, rendering him unconscious. Suji attempts to intervene, and during this, Sewu attacks Sri. She manages to defend herself and stabs Sewu. After this, she takes the key from Sewu and unlocks the door. On the other side, Dela frees herself from her restraints. She then tells Karso that it's her turn, attempting to strangle her. However, Karso reminds her that she is her granddaughter. Meanwhile, as Sri tries to escape with Dela, Sewu attempts to stop her and stabs her with her own dagger. During this, Dela throws a lantern on the floor, causing a fire, and then both of them make their way out. When they reach the grave, Sangarchari attacks Sri and attempts to strangle her, but Sri defends herself with a dagger, causing Sangarchari to back away. As it tries to attack them again, they both jump into the grave, and Sri wakes up. Outside, Dela also regains consciousness, now back to her normal self. Later, we see Sewu, injured and in tears, gazing at a photo. It's at this moment that Sangarchari arrives and asks him about his promise. The next day, Karso pays Sri for the work she has done, and Sri asks her if it's true that she initiated all of this. Instead of answering, Karso responds by mentioning an ancient proverb she once heard, which states that knowledge can lead to one's demise. The longer she lives, the more she comprehends its meaning. She also adds that she can't know more than this because ignorance is a gift from God. Sri decides not to accept the money and departs from there. Now on her way back home, Suji tells her that not taking money from Karso was the right decision, because if she had taken it, she would end up like him. But she needs to be careful, as Karso will force her to take that money. He explains that Sewu was his master, and the last he heard was he got away, but that's why he survived this bloody affair. He was very sad when he lost all of his family because of the black leaf magic set by the Atmojo family. We then see that Sewu is also dead, and the movie ends here. Thanks for joining us on our horror movie recap adventure. If you enjoyed the chills, subscribing would mean a lot. Drop a comment to share your thoughts and keep the terror alive. Stay spooky and see you soon.